The following program is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
Welcome, everyone, to Speaking Freely with Ms. Get-Go. We're going to have a great show, a great discussion. I hope you join in the discussion because the first topic is, have you ever fell for a friend's ex? Have you ever fell for a friend's ex? That is the first topic that we're going to get into after the commercial break. And you know, the last segment of the show is the What Would You Do segment, and I'm going to play the scenario for you so you know what the scenario is when we get into a commercial break before we do the first topic. So let's get into the show, E. Let's play that scenario, and then we're going to get
On the next episode
to
of
the
Speaking
show.
Freely with Ms. Gigo, in our What Would You Do segment, here is the scenario. What would you do if your significant other took $1,000 out of your joint account and gave it to their ex to pay their rent or mortgage? What would you do? Here's the caveat. What if they have children with said ex? Come join us and give your opinion this Sunday at 10 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook.
All right, you see that's the scenario. You guys think that one out? We'll be back after these words from Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people.
Two new radio stations hit the net, Road to Stardom Radio and eBuck Beats Radio. Check us out on rdioi.com/RTSR or eBuck88 to hear great music created by us. You won't be disappointed.
Alrighty. let's get into this. What up, Coach V? Appreciate you joining. So, here's the first topic. Have you ever fell for your friend's ex? Now, if you're a person in a same sex relationship, you can answer this. You can answer this. So don't think you excluded from this topic. But me, no. I've never fell for a friend's ex. But I want to know what y'all think. Have you ever fell for a friend's ex? For me, no. Because I cherish my friendship more than being with someone ex. So E, have you ever fell for a friend's ex?
All right, here I am on screen now. All right, now the question is: have you ever fell for a friend's ex? Here's the scenario. I have a couple caveats with that. In this
Mm.
day and age, some of us use the word friend loosely because I feel that in order to be someone's friend, they should also be your friend as well. And some people's relationship as friends don't necessarily incorporate that. Okay. I think in some of those cases, that person you call friend is more of acquaintance or collaborator or whatever you have that is not quite a friend. Okay. Now, in my past, yes, I have failed for a friend's ex. Now, that being said, I'm taking the question literally because falling for somebody and contending with them in any way, shape, or form is two different stories. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people often like to talk about the bro code or the girls code, which basically says that if that person dated somebody that's in your crew, you're not supposed to date them. That's the common thing that most of us talk about and know. The majority of people I feel do stick with that. They will not date anybody that they person has dated. Okay. Me myself, I have not been involved with somebody that was my friend's ex, but that's because that person may have considered me a friend, but I didn't necessarily consider them a friend. That's how that went. In fact, I would say it happened a couple times. One, that person was a roommate, not necessarily a friend. We lived together. There's a roommate, and their ex ended up being attracted to me, and vice versa. We did some things, but we didn't go there. I'm gonna kind of leave that at that. You can kind of put your imagination to that. In the second
Mm-hmm.
scenario, I dated somebody that was somebody that I was cool with. In other words, I would consider him more of an associate. And yes, we did date, and we actually did get romantically involved and whatnot. But in the end, I didn't have an issue with it because again, that person might have considered me a friend. I didn't consider them a friend. So again, it depends on the term friend. Now, if this is one of my solid people, like for example, my good brother Hugh, if this was one of his exes, no, could not, would not, will not. That brother is my friend. That friend is more like a brother. Would never go there. Never ever. But like I said, depending on my true relationship with that person, that is what I took into consideration. And of course, now at age 55, I wouldn't go there at all anyway. Just too messy.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it is too messy because you know some of these topics do have a life story attached to them. So I was messing with a dude, and he wanted to hook up his friend with one of my friends. So his friend hooked up with one of my friends. But then the tables started to turn because the person I was dealing with wanted to hook up with my friend. And his friend, you know how it goes. And this is somebody I saw that I could be in a, even though it didn't go that far to where we'll say we're in a relationship, but I saw myself being could be in a relationship with that person. So I'm like, nah, I'm not sharing. I'm not sharing. I know because you know some people have a certain taste of what they like, and I guess she was something he or him and the friend was conversating, you know, and his friend said, "Oh, she might have did this, she did that." It was like, no, I don't. When it comes to that, I don't share no man with no friend, even if it was somebody I'm not trying to even be in a relationship with. Because I've always had this thought in my mind that I could always get them back, even if it's just the sexual thing. I could always have them. So why I'm not gonna put myself in that position to be with somebody else's ex, knowing that if the sex was good between them, that they could always have them back. Because sometimes you do get caught up and you catch feelings, and you don't want to be like catching those feelings, and they still be dealing with your friend. Nah, you can't have us both. You can't have us both. That you can't.
And thinking about it a little deeper, there's also the karma of the situation. Because consider, okay, so you mess around and you do this, right? It happened.
Mm-hmm.
You don't end up being with that person, blah, they split. Then later on in life, you feel strongly about somebody, you had them same feelings like you just described, where, yeah, I could see a world where maybe we get back together someday. So, yeah, I'm going to kind of leave that door slightly open, slightly ajar. But then here
Mm-hmm.
comes so and so, and you look up and they done hooked up. And on the one hand, you're mad because your feelings hurt. But on the other hand, you got to look at it like, is this the get back? Is this the karma for what I did when I did it? At that point,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of got to look at it like that.
Well, I don't. Even though I said I don't share, I kind of. I was dealing with someone I did. They was but we stayed friends, and he was like hooked me up. So I hooked him up with one of my friends, and they met up with each other, and he was like, no, he ain't. Once he saw her in person, he was like, no, he didn't want to deal with her because he felt she was, as they say, the ghetto type of girl, and then she didn't like him because in her eyes he was the nerdy type of dude. But that was the one and only time I ever did that. And I had no feelings about it, like to be mad. I'm like, he 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 wanted to hook up, go out with someone, and hey, who wouldn't want a free date? Who wouldn't want a free date? That's how I saw it. You take out on a date, y'all talk to each other. If you hit it off, you hit it off. You don't, you don't. It's only one date. It ain't like it's a lifetime. It's just one date. But I never done that again. But what's crazy, and even though I've never dated a friend's ex or have a friend's ex want to date me, well, technically, I had it in reverse, put it in reverse, where my best friend hooked up with a dude. I hooked up with his friend. Me and his friend didn't work out. Years later, I see the friend that my best friend hooked up with, and he tried to holler at me and wanted my number because I'm loyal to my best. Come on now, you hooked. They hooked up. It wasn't just like we went on a date. That was it. No, they hooked up. So it's, you know what I'm saying. So no, it's different. I can see it being different if you just went on a date and you realize on that date y'all are not compatible. I get that. That's different. But when you hook up, and then now you see the friend and the friend's looking good to you too, you want to talk to the friend knowing you was with the friend? No, I don't get down like that. But after that, I thought so. Now one day, never seen them again because I didn't exchange my number. And plus, I wasn't living in New York anymore. So that was a good thing. But I still have family where I live, where I used to live. I still have family there. So I would go, or sometimes on the weekend, I would go and, visit family and stay. And that's how I ran into them. But no, that don't make, like, why would I want to be with someone my friend's been with? Well, I'm going to call her up and compare notes, or not even compare notes, but say, "Oh, I saw so and so. He tried to holler at me," or "I hooked up with so and so." I'm not gonna tell that to my best friend. So yeah, have you ever messed with a friend's ex? Now, if the what, but then you could reverse it if the friend's ex tried to holler at you. You can reverse that if they tried to holler at you, because I'm sure there's many people that. And you know what's crazy, E? Is sometimes you meet people that you didn't even know dated your friend
Now,
until y'all
okay,
hang out with each other.
okay. Now, since you put it that way, in my second scenario, in that is how that went, where the person's friend wanted to hook up with me, and I agreed. So that's what that was. Because again, the issue was I was not necessarily friends with that person, so I was cool. But the caveat on that also is that that person was a female, and her friend was her special friend. So part of what it was her special friend was just experimenting, and in real life, she preferred people that didn't have the same parts. So that's where that came into play.
You this is
Again, as I said,
see
it could get messy. It didn't necessarily in that case,
see
but that could have got messy.
what I'm thinking right now is like, as because I hear people say this a lot. Well, people in the LGBTQ community say this is is that women can get away with being with another woman and they won't be labeled gay for doing it. But if a man, just like you said, she was experimenting, just like if a man was to experiment, as soon as he said, "Yeah, I experimented being with another man," they automatically say he gay just off of him experimenting. She experimented. Why you don't consider her gay, even though she experimented? But when a man does it, you automatically go there and say he's gay.
So
Or
basically, the thought process is if you are a woman, you could be bi curious, but if you are a man, you cannot. You are just gay. Period. And some
that's the
people do seem to have that thought process that okay, there is no such thing as a bisexual man. You either gay or you're not, and that gets into a whole Pandora's box of a whole
I
nother.
know, but I'm just just thinking of that. When you said she was experimenting, and it's like why even why even go there knowing that the person you're experimenting with can catch feelings because it happens. They can catch feelings because they are thinking you really want to be with them because I'm sure the person was up front and saying that they only deal with women, and if you're not up front to say, oh well, I don't deal with women, but I did want to experiment, then you got to say that up front for them to understand because sometimes they're thinking it's going to go further into a relationship. Because I've seen many of talk shows where women say, oh, I've never been with a woman. She's my first female relationship. And this is after them being with a man that hurt them, that turned to a woman. But and that same thing, I've never heard a man say after being hurt by a woman, I turn to being with a man. I always hear women say that. Never hear a man say after being hurt by a woman, I turn to being with a man. I've never heard that. And I'm like, what is it about? I get it when people explain how they was hurt, and that's why they turned to a woman because they figured a woman would never do what the man did to them. But then they wound up doing it. They wind up doing the same thing the man did, just with another woman. So, so I want to hear what y'all out there got to say about have you ever been with a friend's ex, or we could put it the other way, has a friend's ex ever tried to be with you? So that is the topic of today's show. So we can switch it around, and you can always any topic we discuss in tonight's episode, even though we jump to the next topic, if you still have an opinion on the first topic, I don't mind you still giving your opinion. Don't mind you giving your opinion. So, it's also made me think, E. So, this was early 2000, well, yeah, early 2000s. I met a person, right? Remember when AOL and Hotmail, you can go when you go into your email. You can also go into chat rooms. Remember that on AOL and in Hotmail. So and on if you had Yahoo, if you had Yahoo Mail as well, you can go into chat rooms. So one particular day, I go into my Hotmail email and I go into the chat room. I meet a person from the chat. We exchange numbers. We decide to want to go out. We go out on the date, have a great time. We went bowling. We had a great time, right? So as I'm talking to this person, they introduced me to their coworker, which is also their friend. So every time on the week, because they work together on the weekend, so every time we would talk while they at work, it'd be them, only them two at work. So when he would call me to talk to me, if I missed the call, I'll call back. We'll talk. His friend would get on the phone, so we would have a conversation. So we decided to do a double date type of thing. Me and him go out, and his friend, I will hook him up with a friend. But at the time, the only friend I had to hook him up with was my best friend. But she was in a relationship, but they was going through, a little, some problems. So I was just thinking to get her mind off of what she was going through. Why not invite her? So now the guy I'm talking to, his friend, which is his coworker, is supposed to be for my best friend. So we decided, I think it was a Friday. We decided, was it a Friday or Saturday? We decided to go on this double date. This when I was still, no, this is when I was still going back and forth from Jersey to New York City to hang out. And so they come, pick me. So the whole day, we supposed to go out. I'm talking to my best friend on the phone. Talk to the friend on the phone, so they know how to get to where I'm at and pick me up. They come pick me up. So the friend gets out of the car and I see the friend. I said, damn, he look better than the one I'm talking to. And this is what I'm saying to my friend, because I had my best friend on the phone when they finally got to my house to pick me up. And so I said that to her on the phone. So they come. I say, what's up? I get in the car. We go pick up our best friend. We go to, in New York City, they have a place called the Barcode. It was an adult arcade. Like Dave and Buster's? But it was an adult arcade. You go play some video games, play arcade games, you could drink. They had an upstairs, I think that had an upstairs. So we did that. We went out, we ate, and then we went there afterwards. So the whole time, even though I was supposed to be on the date with the friend, the whole time I'm staring at his friend. I had more interest in his friend than him, right? Even though he's supposed to be there for my best friend. We have our fun, get back home, and the next day we talk on the phone. And I had to be honest, and I said what I said to him. I like your friend. I was being honest. Why he told me on the phone, and he told me on the phone that he likes my friend. I'm like, you just met her, so how you like her? You just met her that one day. Y'all didn't really talk, so y'all didn't really have a conversation with each other. So how do you all of a sudden? Because I said I like your friend. I'm being honest, and you now say you like my friend. But the thing is, before I even met his friend, like I said, when we talked on the phone, we would have conversations. So it's not like, even though I never seen him in person, but still we would have conversation. So there was some interaction there, even though we didn't see each other in person. So, so I'm like, you like, and I guess like he never said he was mad, but I guess he was mad because I told him, being honest, that I liked his friend. Now I've never had that happen where I go out with on a double date and wind up liking the other person instead of the person I'm on a date with. But in this, hey Meech. Mm. So Meech, I think Meech just came in, and the topic we on right now is, have you ever fell for a friend's ex? That is the topic we are on right now, Meech. Have you ever fell for a friend's ex? And see, this is good that Meech is tuned in because he can give the other perspective of the LGBTQIA. He can give that perspective. Meech can give that perspective. Cause that's one area I know I can't give no perspective on. But yeah, a lot of these topics I will probably be sharing true life stories to the topics. So I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Coach V, Meech, I appreciate y'all tuning in. So yeah, the topic that we're on right now: have you ever fell for a friend's ex? Have you ever fell for a friend's ex? What up, Dre? Yep. Have you ever fell for a friend's ex? I'm sure those of you that are tuned in, I'm sure you got stories to tell. Or has a friend's ex ever fell for you? I like to hear all perspectives from the female point of view, male point of view, from the LGBTQIA point of view on this topic. You know, in every point of view. Have you ever fell for a friend's ex? I've never done that, but like I shared a true to life story where a friend's ex tried to holler at me, and I wasn't giving that person my number. So you,
Yeah, and as I said, I have done that, but it was with the caveat that the person or persons considered me a friend, but me not necessarily so much them. And one of the friends happened to be a female, and it was their female friend who I ended up being with. So that should catch you up. Like I said, if you got any commentary, you got some thoughts, what do you think? We definitely want to hear that in the comments, if you would, people.
so I want to play the what would you do scenario again, since we got new people that came in, so they know what that is.
Hey, what's going on, Drake? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you, bruh.
Yep, appreciate you. So that is the topic, and we're gonna play the what would you do scenario. So when that segment come up, I need you to answer what would you do.
On the next episode of Speaking Freely with Ms. Gigo, in our What Would You Do segment, here is the scenario. What would you do if your significant other took $1,000 out of your joint account and gave it to their ex to pay their rent or mortgage? What would you do? Here's the caveat. What if they have children with said ex? Come join us and give your opinion this.
So that is the what would you do topic for tonight. That is the what would you do topic for tonight. That's the scenario to the what would you do segment, and that's the last segment before we end the show. And so we're gonna get into we're gonna take a commercial break and then we're gonna come back with the next topic. But you can still answer if you ever been if you ever fell for your friend's ex or vice versa, you can still answer that. This is we all having a good discussion. So let's take that commercial break, so we can get into the second topic.
All right, y'all. This is Speaking Freely with Miss Gigo. Remember the topic so far? We got would you be with a friend's ex? And of course, the what would you do in regards to the joint account? We will talk about that one later. But when we come back, topic 2 on deck on the show, known as Speaking Freely. We'll be back after these words from Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my tea sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Nikki.
Let's talk. Let's
Nikki.
let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Nikki.
Let's talk.
Nikki.
Alrighty. I see what Dre posted. He said that's a slippery slope. Well, it is. It is. But if the person's not your best friend, then most people don't. Some people, I won't say most. Some people don't care because it's not their best friend. And if it was their best friend, they ain't telling, and they're making sure the ex don't tell either. But before we get to the second time, something just came to me that goes along with the first topic, that a guy dated his friend's girlfriend before they even got together, but he didn't know. You know how can I put, like, a person, like your friend will tell you they dating someone, and you're like, okay, that's good. You dating someone. They tell you the name, but the name don't click to you because it's been years since you dated the person by that name, so the name don't click to you right away. And then when you finally meet the person, you realize it's somebody you dated. I think I've seen this either in a movie or like a TV show where the guy dated the girl that his friend was is now dating, and when he introduced them, she realized she already knew who he was, but she didn't tell them the boyfriend that they dated. They acted like they just met each other for the first time, even though they already knew each other. So, like Dre said, it can be a slippery slope. And I think in that I think it was a TV show. They they wound up still having feelings for each other. That's even more crazy yet. But the second topic, so the second topic came to me from watching. If you watch Tyler Perry's Love Thy Neighbor, if you ever watched that show, that's where my second topic came from. And I was like, how can I explain this to the people for them to get a true understanding of what I'm trying to go with, where I'm trying to go with this topic. So, and this the topic I'm speaking of happened in season 2 of the show. Yes. Hi. I'll talk to you later, okay? My nephew came into the room. So, so in the show, the two characters I'm speaking of is Linda and Philip. Philip expressed that he had interest in Linda, but Linda turned him down. And so she wound up dating the guy, but the guy she wound up dating turned out to be a scammer. And he scammed her, and she felt really hurt by that because when it all hit the head, the woman who was helping him with the scam, I think was his wife. If I'm not mistaken, I think she was his wife who was helping him with the scam. So she helped him with the scam. Linda was hurt. Now, like I said, Philip tried to get with her, but she, put him in the friend zone. That's the best way I could put it. She put him in the friend zone. But once this dude hurt her, she ran, instead of going to a friend to express how she felt about the situation, she just ran to Philip. And when she ran to him, she told him to make love to me to take the hurt away. Now, because he wants to be with her so bad, right? Because he wants to be with her so bad, he was like, no, you sure you want to do this? She said yes. But to add to this, she also was drinking. So when you drink, yeah, everything changes when you drink. You ain't thinking right. So in the midst of drinking, you do things you don't normally do. And this is something she don't normally do because after her divorce from her, she became celibate, and she said she was going to stay celibate until she find the right one to get married again. So she went over there to Philip, told him to take the pain away, and they wound up sleeping with each other. So have you ever put someone here's two things. Have you ever put someone in the friend zone and then turn around and try to be with them after you don't put them in the friend zone? I guess that's the best way I could put this, sharing this story and topic is, have you ever put someone in the friend zone and turn around and then turn around and try to be with them because someone hurt you to the point it got you drinking and doing things you normally would never do? Yes, alcohol does equal bad decisions, but I've also realized with alcohol, a drunk mind tells the truth, a sober mind. For me, a drunk mind tells the truth, and a sober mind can lie. Because everything comes when you drunk, you start saying things, you start getting the courage to tell that person you like that you like him when you never said it before when you was sober. You get to saying it when you drunk. So E, what do you think? Well, in that situation, what do you think?
Okay.
Her putting him in the friend zone, and then because she got hurt, running to him for him to turn the hurt away.
Okay. Dre says I agree. All right. Now, see, here's how I interpreted what you said. I put it in the banner. My first question of it was, can you have casual sex with someone who loves you? And the second thing is, if you just want them to be a friend with benefit, is that okay? Now,
Yeah, that's good. That we can put it that way too.
okay,
But I think in Linda's situation, she's always liked him, but she's dumb people. There's some people when you like someone, but you don't know how to express it, and
okay,
then you get hurt before, so you don't want to get hurt again. So you don't want to tell them how you feel because you think they're gonna hurt you just like them other people hurt you. So and rather than being hurt by them, you just keep them in the friend zone.
okay. See, I always feel like there's a disconnect on that particular thought process between men and women because I have often been the friend that people like to put in the friend zone. And usually the reason you are given is because I don't want nothing bad to happen between us. Because if it did, we wouldn't be friends anymore. Now, that being said, more times than not, I end up not being friends with that person anyway. And I will explain why in a minute. But first, we got another comment here. He says, if you have casual sex with someone who really loves you, that's stringing them on. I completely agree. Because keep in mind,
I
people
agree.
oftentimes forget what the quote unquote purpose of sex is in the first place. Intercourse is supposed to be an expression between two people who love and care about each other to physically show one another how they feel about one another. Or, of course, the other reason, which is to procreate. Now, me myself, I feel your thoughts on casual sex tend to change as you get older. If you are a person like myself who has been single more than not. Because, of course, if you are a person and y'all have been in a fully committed relationship for many years, you probably can't relate to none of what we're talking about. And that's actually a good thing. Keep it that way. But the word casual sex to me feels like, okay, I have the physical feeling that I want to be with somebody in that way and finish to completion. Okay? It's casual because we're not putting a title on it. We're not saying, okay, since we're doing this, now we together. We're not saying, okay, you doing this and now we obligated to contend with each other in some type of way. You're simply saying, okay, you want some, I want some, let's do it. And you do it. Now, here's the problem I had in that situation. She was well aware of the fact that that man had very strong feelings for her and wanted to be
Mm-hmm.
with her, not just in that way, but completely. And you
Mm-hmm.
asking him that, you are saying to him, I feel bad and I want to have casual sex, but I don't want to do it with anybody. But since you like me like that, you'll do. That's wrong. Okay? She did him wrong in that. Especially after he was trying to do the right thing at first and be a gentleman about it. Be like, look, we really shouldn't do this. You saying this because you feel bad and you've been drinking and so on and so forth. And she's saying, no, I know what I'm doing and I know what I want, and it's all to the good. That was her drunk mind, and as you said, drunk mind often thinks sober thoughts and vice versa. So in that moment, yeah, damn all that, just run me some pee and get the slang and the wee wee. And at that point, because he cared about her, and in that moment, he saw the opportunity to show his true love for her in a physical way. That's why I felt he went along with it. Now, here's the problem. When you turn around after and be like, well, nah, that was just in the moment. You was my friend and I just wanted to benefit from that in that way, as opposed to, say, borrowing money or getting a ride to the stuff. The problem is, like I said, when you share your body with somebody, you also instinctively share a spirit with them. That's the part where people tend to have a disconnect, because when you are in control of your feelings and you have feelings and you go there with somebody, ain't no taking that back. You know what I'm saying? Once you've been there, you've been there. So you can say what you want. It was just a friendly smurf or whatever. But no, once you done shared somebody's bodies, once your body then been penetrated by somebody's body or vice versa, there is no going back from that. So when it comes to casual sex, you can't have that with a friend. Nor is it fair for you to keep a friend around in the friend zone because you want somebody around that cares about you, but don't want them to care too much about you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I definitely think she was wrong in that. And, yeah, you could put some partial blame because it takes two to tango. I get that. But in the end, he knew he wanted her to be with him. And he was hoping that's what that led to. And in that moment, it didn't work. Okay.
So
Dre is
after, I see what he's saying. If you have casual sex with someone who really loves you, that's stringing them on. Sometimes sex can mess up a good friendship. Discipline is the key. Yeah, discipline is the key. But they wound up having it. They had sex. She wake up in his bed when her she had on her dress. Her dress was off. She had on her bottoms. Everything else was on, but they did. And she's looking around because remember she was drinking. So now that she's unsobered up, her mind went to racing. Like, did we what? So she trying to escape, threw her shoes out the window, put her dress back on, was trying to jump out the window to the tree to get out of there because she didn't want to face him after what they did. But what I like what he did in this situation, even though they did have casual sex, he came in the room and he came in the room with breakfast and said, I made you breakfast. He could have came in there and said, oh, you gotta go because my kids is coming. No, he came in there with breakfast, said, I made you breakfast. She's all going crazy because she realized what she did was wrong because she felt bad for them having casual sex because she's been celibate since she got her divorce. And then she claimed, she's saying she a Christian, so she felt she went against God by doing it. See, she brought God into it.
and shouldn't have, because again, yes, there's nothing in the Bible that says you should not drink. Okay, let's be very clear about that. But it does say that you should not get to the point where you are drunk and allow your spirit to Wanda. Okay? So if you chose by choice, regardless of why you did it, because you're trying to quench your feeling, whatever, to get to a point to where you drank and made decisions that you normally would not make, that is on you. In the end, I can't blame him because, he felt that in doing this, he could somehow gain the love and affection that he truly wanted from her. And if he continued to show that, okay, this wasn't just a Smurf thing, I really did care about you, and we made love last night, and I still care about you. Here's breakfast. That's one thing. But if in the end it was like, okay, I was just feeling frisky, and now I don't feel that way. I still feel the way I did yesterday about it, which basically means that, yeah, I'm glad you're my friend, but in the end, I don't have feelings for you like that. That's not fair. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the person involved. And as I saw that over the years, when I found myself in that friend zone or you like a brother to me and all that, it was like, nope, not doing that. Either you gonna be my friend and we're gonna be friends, and that's on me. I'm just going to deal with it, or I got these feelings. If you don't like that I have these feelings, then I gotta move on because it hurts too much just to be your friend.
See, and I see, like I said, I put a true to life story to every top, mostly every topic, and I do have a true to life story. Just like Linda and Philip had casual, I had casual with someone who I had strong feelings for. They had feelings, but it wasn't as strong as mine was. And I expressed those feelings, and the person was like, "No, they can't." I wasn't hurt. Most people, when the person you tell you got feelings for, and they reciprocate with a no, we can't get together. I didn't have no hurt feelings by it because they explain why. When you hit, not, I wouldn't say rock bottom, but when you hit a point, a point in your life where things ain't going the way you was hoping them to go, and so you don't want to add to that. If your life ain't going the way you want it to go, let's just say you lost your job, you don't want to get into no situation. You don't want to get no relationship. You want to get your act together. You want to get yourself together. You don't want to get in a relationship that makes no sense because they want, that person you get in a relationship with gonna want to go on a date. If you ain't got money to take them on a date, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got no money to take them on a date. You can't do nothing. The only thing y'all can do is have sex. It's like, so in my situation, that person, was honest and said he would if he could, but he couldn't because his life wasn't where he wanted his life to be, and it makes no sense to bring somebody into their life when it's not together. Even if it's the other way around, where the guy is in Philip's case trying to get with the woman. If her life ain't together, there's no point in bringing you in. I get it, you a man, and the man, takes care of the woman, but she want to have her life together before she be with somebody. And in my case, he wanted to have his life together before really getting into a relationship, and so it wasn't going to happen. But the feelings were there. The feelings were mutual. So I wasn't, most people would be mad at it, but I wasn't mad at it. So I understood because both of our lives wasn't together. We was in the same. It's like we're two people in the same boat that ain't going nowhere. So why would we get into a relationship? We know that if his life ain't going nowhere, my life ain't going nowhere at that moment. It's not going to work, and it's not going to work. So it made sense to not be together. We're still friends to this day. We're still friends to this day. So I'm not mad at it. He's not mad at it. We're still friends. But I'm sure in other people's situation, I'm sure the female could be mad at it and don't want to talk to that person no more. Or the guy could be mad at it and don't want to talk to the female no more. But if your life ain't together, there's no point of getting together. Because what can a man who don't have his life together do for you if you do for you? And vice versa, if you don't have yours together, what can you do for him? You know how they say, what do you, when you know how they ask the question, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to a table? If you ain't got nothing, what do you bring to his table? To let him know that you got him. If you ain't got your life together, what do you bring to the table? The same for him. What does he bring to the table if he ain't got nothing? Or if you do have your life going together, but they don't have their life going together, now you're gonna be put in a position to where you might have to take care of them. You don't want to put yourself in that position to where, like most women do, get with a guy they really like them and then wind up taking care of them. They the ones he's done moved in. They're paying all the bills. He ain't contributing nothing. They take care of all his needs. He don't take care of none of their needs except for the sex. Like that's not a relationship that's gonna work. Because after a while, you're gonna get tired of him not doing nothing, tired of him not contributing in any kind of way. You know, if rent is $1,000 and you got 500, and he can't give you the other 500, what's the point? You're gonna struggle and kill yourself to death to scrounge up the other five just so you can make rent, and you got this man living with you that's not doing anything. Like that's not good. Yep. So I I see we have a I think this Drake commenting still. Yes, he said a oops. Okay. Yeah, that's true. But if she know how to cook too, so she can make breakfast. He made breakfast, she could turn around and make him breakfast. But I see, and thinking about that, I'm like if you put like all these if especially topics that seem true to life, when you put yourself in that person's shoes, can you handle it? Like in Linda and Philip's situation, if you was in Philip's shoes, knowing how much you really like like Linda, could you stay being in the friend zone, or or could you stay being in the friend zone if you was in Philip's situation? If you put yourself in his shoes and she puts you in the friend zone, could you stay in the friend zone knowing how much you liked her? See, I could put myself in Linda's position. I could put myself also in Philip's position. In Linda's position, putting someone in the friend zone, no, and then realizing after you put them in the friend zone, you really do like them, but because you put them in the friend zone, now you're going to keep them there. It's like you don't want to take them out the friend zone. You want to, even though now you're starting to have feelings, you don't want to take them out the friend zone. And Phillips and being in Phillips' shoes, for the person who put me in the friend zone to now turn around to show some type of interest in any kind of way is going to confuse the hell out of me a bit. It's going to confuse me a bit because just like they took it there, if we took it there, now it's going to have me thinking, did they really like me all along or was it free to say they like me all along? Or were they just doing this just to get what we just did? See, it's going to have me think. Gonna have me thinking. Yep. So you can keep commenting to the topics. You see your comments. We'll read your comments. But let's show the clip again. Let's show the titles to both topics, and then let's play the video again to the what would you do scenario. Yeah, there is. I agree too. But then when you fall hard, as it's hard to get out of it when you fall
I
hard.
would put it this way. Somebody once told me, always leave yourself enough room to walk away if you have to. That has served me well over the years. I would say in terms of that, that's how I would take that. Always leave a little room to walk away if you have to. Okay, back to the what would you do segment. Here is the question. Once again, stand by. Hold on, y'all. Here we go.
On the next episode of Speaking Freely with Ms. Gigo, in our What Would You Do segment, here is the scenario. What would you do if your significant other took $1,000 out of your joint account and gave it to their ex to pay their rent or mortgage? What would you do? Here's the caveat. What if they have children with said ex? Come join us and
All right, that is the question of the night. What would you do? We will answer that question, or at least attempt to, when we get back after this commercial break from Nighthawk Network.
Yep.
Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a bag. Get a bag, yeah, I'ma get a bag. Long as I wake up in the morning, I'ma get a
All right, we are back to Speaking Freely with Miss Giga. Shout out to Coach V. He also wants me to know that Jay Gas, that is Jay Gasker, shout out to young Jay Gas, says you the best, Big Easy, and you can have his red jersey. I appreciate that, and I shall accept said gift. Thank you very much. And also, before we go on, another comment from Brother Dre. He says, I'm just gonna have to unfall and get out of my and get on with my business. Exactly, E. Leave yourself room and close that door.
So now we in the segment, the what would you do segment. And as you heard in the video, what would you do if your ex took $1,000 out your joint account? I mean, not your ex. I mean, your significant other took $1,000 out your joint account, gave it to their ex to pay their rent or mortgage. And then the caveat is, what if they have children with said ex, right? And I thought about this, right? Because a lot of people nowadays are getting divorced because of money, right? They have these accounts they have these joint accounts. Their significant others spending all up the money in the joint account that they're supposed to be using to pay the bills, but they spending up the money doing whatever. So this came to me, so I was like, okay, what if your significant other went into your bank account and gave, this could be someone you married to, just someone you've been in a relationship with for years, and they took $1,000 out, gave it to their ex to pay their mortgage or their rent. And then with the caveat, if they have children with the ex, then I'm like, okay, that part, the caveat part, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be a little mad, but I wouldn't be big mad because I understand they took it to keep a roof over their child's head, right? So I get it in that situation. Now, if they don't have kids with said ex and they went into that joint account and gave them $1,000, I definitely would be mad. I don't know if I'd be mad to the point I want to break up, but I know I would be mad because our bills should be more important than your ex's bills. And if your ex can't pay their bills, it is not your problem. I get it. Most people stay friends with their exes because they never ended on bad terms, so they stay friends with their exes. As soon as your ex call you or even DM you through social media and ask you such a question, that's when you either, if your mate ain't around you, that you call your mate and say, look, my ex just hit me up and said, she need $1,000, can she borrow $1,000 to pay her rent or her mortgage? Or he asked me, could he borrow $1,000 to pay his rent or his mortgage? If y'all got kids together, you have an understanding mate, they be like, okay, y'all got kids together, just to keep a roof over their head, but she gonna have to pay it back. Now, if you are the female in this situation and your ex, who you got children with, asks you for rent money, I would say no. I would tell them no. If you are female in a situation like this, for me, I would tell them no. Because 9 out of 10, the kids is living with me, not them. So I'm not going to go into no joint account, pull out no $1,000 to help them pay their rent. They should have been smart enough to know how to budget so they will have money to pay their rent. And if I'm in a new committed relationship, no matter how long we've been together, my ex should not be a thought. If my ex contact me, I should not be responding. But it's different if you got kids together. So you got kids together, I understand you're gonna have to respond. But if y'all don't have kids together, there's no need for you to respond. What's the new term out there now that the young kids don't call it ghosting? You ghost them. For you to take that $1,000 out and give it to your ex, especially if y'all don't have kids together, there's some type of feeling still there. Because that's the only reason why you would go into a joint account to give away the money in the joint account to help pay their rent or mortgage. There's some type of feeling still there. Or this could be their way of trying to get you back. When you think about it, this could be their way of trying to get you back by asking, would you help them by giving them $1,000 to pay their rent or mortgage? What you think, E, in this situation?
All right, people. For me, this one is very cut and dry. Okay, very black and white. First of all, when you open a joint account, whether it's with someone you are with or someone you are married to, it should be with two understandings. One, this joint account is for blank. Now, if this joint account is literally for, okay, when we need some money to help our friends out, and we have agreed that this is one of the purposes of said account, that is one thing. But more times than not, when you open a joint account, it's usually for, okay, we're saving up for something as a couple, or this is for our bills. It's usually one or the other. That being said, I don't care if you're married to a woman that got the golden, okay? You should never, ever, ever, ever have a joint account and not have your own separate account as well. Let me say that again for the people in the back. If you have a joint account, whether with friend, foe, email, mail, whatever the case may be, you should always have your own separate account, okay? And the understanding needs to be clear and well purposed out before you go into said joint account with anybody. So that being said, the caveat is for your ex who you have kids with. I don't care. Okay? She is your baby mama, your baby daddy. That money should come out of your account. Now, what you do with your account of your money, whether you married or not, well, no, I ain't gonna tell that lie. If you married, you do have some say so, even with your account. But if y'all just together and that's your account, what you do with that money is on you. Should not be no, I got to check in with my boo. Now, granted, as a courtesy, you can have that discussion if y'all booed up. But unless you are married, because a marriage is a contract of a whole separate design. And remember, when you are married, you also marry your debts, okay? So now if you take that out your account and now your account becomes behind and you want to go in the joint account, that becomes a us problem. So I get that. But again, if you're not married, then no. You have no say so whatsoever with your account. Now with that joint account, it gotta be what it was intended for. If it was intended for looking out for your kids, then so be it. If not, then no. It's not cool. Period. You do not touch that money. And if they do that, it's because in the end they don't respect your relationship and the whole purpose of why you open a joint account, and it's going to lead to other stuff that eventually leads to that joint account no longer being necessary because y'all done broke up. So yeah, the answer to me is no. I don't care what the hell it's for. If it ain't for what we intended that joint account to be for, then the answer is no.
Yeah, I hear you. And I also, I was thinking like, what happened to the conversation? That's what was missed before the money even got taken out. The conversation would said with your significant other, saying, I'm taking this money out of the joint account because my ex asked the borrower to pay their rent or mortgage, and they said they were going to pay me back. What happened to that conversation? And if it is someone you have children with, then you say, this is for the kids to keep a roof over their head. You got to have that conversation because, like E said, that joint account is normally for bills. Most people, they get their joint account is for bills, or they might be saving up for something. And when you think about it, if your mate is putting in more than you are, and then you took out money, yeah, they're gonna be pissed at you, especially you giving it to an ex. Cause in your wife's mind or the new girl's mind that you in a relationship with, gonna say your ex just gonna have to be homeless. I'm sorry. I ain't trying to be cruel, we're just gonna have to be homeless. And then if your new significant other that met your ex and your ex is like Keisha from Tyler Perry's show, For Better or Worse. You ever seen that, E? If your ex is like Keisha, yeah, your wife is gonna be an Angela. Your wife and your new girlfriend is gonna wind up becoming an Angela. So I'd say have the conversation first before you take the money out. Say, listen, babe, my ex hit me up. Ask could they borrow $1,000 to pay their rent or their mortgage, and they said they would pay it back. Now, if they say they're gonna pay it back, and you got it, and you talk to your significant other, and they say okay, and you got it to give, then I say if you want to do it, then do it. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't even. If your new person is okay with it, then go and do it. But if they not, don't do it because it's gonna put a strain in your relationship. Because if you do it, you did it once, then they're gonna keep coming back for you to do it again. They're gonna make it a pattern to where they're gonna keep asking for money and keep asking for money, and then they're gonna know you're gonna keep giving it to them because you that person. I get it. You love being that helpful person, but you can't be helpful with everybody. Most people take advantage, and I think the ex would be that one to take advantage to where you did it once. They can lie and say, "Oh, it happened again. Can I borrow another $1,000?" And really, they don't really need it. They just want to see if you gonna give it to them, and then you be the fool and you give it to them, and then they never pay you back. Yep, you don't want to be that fool. So have the conversation with your significant other. Now, if we switch it around to where uh, the female, your significant other, which is a female's ex, is asking for the money, then no, I would say I'll put it in the no. If she try to argue you down about giving that person the money, then you're gonna need to start thinking about your relationship. If y'all arguing back and forth about giving the money, you're gonna have to start thinking about your relationship. Because no grown man should be calling his ex talk about, can I borrow $1,000 to pay my rent and mortgage? Like, what is you doing that you can't pay your rent and mortgage? And why of all people you calling me
I mean,
this
things happen. I get that.
money?
But the long story short of it is this. That group money don't really exist. Okay? That only exists in what you need it for. Yes, the conversation should be had before you even think about doing it. But what I'm saying is it shouldn't even be a discussion. If you can't afford to do it out of your own money in your other account, you just don't do it. And if you are married, yes, you have to have that discussion. I think that is required. Not to mention, you would hope that the person you are with in your marriage understands that those are your children and you want to make sure they looked out for. But in the same token, perhaps the compromise at that point is okay, well, we're not touching our joint account. But what I'll do is I give you half out of mine and you get her half, and she owe both of us. But let her know very clearly, let him know very clearly this is a one-time only scenario. If you go need
Hmm.
it again, we can't do it. We don't get this back, don't even call us no more. If it's a problem to that degree, let us get to the court proceedings and work on having custodial custody because clearly you ain't able to take care of the kids the way I need them to. But long story short, that joint account, no. That money should not come out that account no matter what. Because like you said, do it once, you'll do it again. And now you done messed up your whole relationship trying to look out.
Yep. And here's a situation where the female went into the joint account to help the ex, right? Gave him the money. Because I think in this situation he didn't need to pay rent or mortgage. I think he needed his car fixed. And she went in that account, took money out, gave it to him to help him get his car fixed. And I'm trying to remember if they had children or not together. But she took that money out. She gave it to him to get his car fixed. And she didn't tell her maid at first. And when he found out, she's like, he said he's a grown man. Why is he coming to you for money to get his car fixed? He's a grown man. Right? No, he got a job. Come to find out, I think homeboy didn't have a job. And that's why he was borrowing the money from her to get the car fixed so he can go looking for jobs. So she took that money, whatever amount he asked for, she took that money out that joint account, not the her regular account, her separate account. Nope, she went in that joint account because that's where she had the money to be able to give it to him. Because most people they do have a separate account, but the joint account is where the most money is because he's putting in half. He's putting half of his check. You're putting half of your check. So that's equaling more than what you have in your regular account. So that's where you're going to take the money from because you don't have it to give in your regular account. That joint account, that's why you took it out the joint account. But to give money to a person that's your ex that ain't got no job and no way to pay it back is dumb. Is dumb. And if you're doing it to help them pay their rent, or even if they say it's not even for rent or mortgage, that it's for to fix their car so they could go look for a job. You telling me they can't take the bus? Okay, the car's not working, so take the bus to get to where you need to get to get a job. And then when you get your check, you can get your car fixed. But I think, like I said, some people, even though they exes, they not over that person. So that's the person they go to, when they're in a bind to see if that person will do it. Because then if they do it, they say, oh, they still got feelings. Dre says, now I'm having to play the old guru from Gangstar, so X to the next. I think a lot of people do it to see if the person still got feelings. Because if you ain't got feelings no more, you want to shut it down as soon as they ask. If there's still some type of feeling there, you gonna wind up wanting to help. Yep, you gonna wind up wanting to help.
It's levels to this thing. Wanting to help is one thing. Wanting to keep your relationship intact is something entirely different. Like I said, you don't touch that joint money unless you have to. If you make it to where that's a have to, then you're gonna have a problem because my other person in the relationship should feel some type of way. That's why I say no,
Mhm.
you don't do it. Period.
Yep, but people still do it, and 9 out of 10 of the cases, some of them do lose their relationship over it.
So I would say the real story, the real lesson to be learned here is if you are even tempted to know that you're gonna do that in a situation, you don't open no joint account in the first place. Plain and simple.
Yep, but like I said, joint account, as they put it for to pay the bills. Your light bill, your gas bill, your rent. The necessities that you got to pay for it. That's what that's for. But to go in that account, because even when I used to be on TikTok a lot, I used to hear the Reddit stories. There were in the Reddit stories, they were saying, talk about they went into the joint account and drained all the money. The person they was with, not to give it to an ex, but they went in that joint account and drained all the money, and and because it's both names on the account, they can take said money. Yep, they can take said money. You gotta prove that that money was, but in these Reddit stories, they did have proof that the money was theirs, but because you dating, and most of the time it was them dating someone who had money. They didn't have a lot, but they was dating someone who did have money, so who put the majority of that money in that account. So if you're in a relationship and you got to that point to where y'all deciding to move in with each other, I would say stick with your separate accounts when it's time to pay your half of the rent, your half of the light bill, your half of the gas bill. Cash App or Zell it to them, because if something happens and y'all break up, there's gonna be a hard way to prove who had the majority of the money in there, or who put the you know what I'm saying, who put the most money in there, because you're gonna wind up having to split that 50-50. Even if you the one that put the majority of the money, you still gonna wind up, because both of your names is on the account, and wind up having to split that 50-50. So let's get into that time to end the show. I appreciate Dre being in the chat, Coach V, Beach, and anybody else that was in the chat and participated into the show. Appreciate it. I will see y'all next Sunday. And next Sunday, we're gonna have another What Would You Do scenario. And we're gonna talk about love triangle. We're gonna talk about a love triangle. Now, here's how I'm explaining this love triangle, because I just wrote a song about it. It's a country song, but it's about a love. So I'm gonna tell you the concept of the song, Concept of the song is a woman who fell in love with a man. The man she fell in love with is in love with someone else, and that woman he fell in love with is in love with someone else. That's the basis of the love triangle. When you like someone and they like you but not in that way, but they like someone else, and that person they like don't like them in that way but like someone else. It's not your typical love triangle, but it is a love triangle because all three are seeking the same thing, love, but just not from the person they want it from. They're just not getting it from the person they want it from. So next week, that'll be one of the topics, talking about love triangles. We do this, I do the show every Sunday at 10 p.m. And I will be posting to my Facebook page the What Would You Do segment for next week. I've been, thinking about what that scenario is gonna be. I've been thinking about that. You know, and I would love if you see it posted to my page. I would love your opinion on it when it's posted to the page, and you can come on, just tune into the show and give your point of view on the scenario. So yeah, it's that time. Oh, and I forgot about the Grammys was tonight. So if you see the Grammys, congratulations to all the artists who won Grammys tonight. I know Kaylani won two. Uh, I don't know who else besides Kaylani. Shirley Caesar for gospel.
Yes,
Shirley Caesar won.
Lamar won at least two that I know of. Lady Gaga won one, and also Bad Bunny won a couple.
Okay, that's great. And then we're gonna see Bad Bunny perform at the Super Bowl. I knew Lady Gaga. I knew Lady Gaga was gonna win. For pop, I knew she was gonna win because I think was she up against Taylor Swift? Did Taylor Swift drop a new album? I'm trying to remember, but I knew she was gonna win. I didn't think Kaylani was going. I didn't think Kay. But when you think about it, She did have the hottest song out last year. So if they're going by that, then yeah, she definitely. But I'm gonna catch it in the rerun to see all the people who won in the performances. So I will see y'all Tuesday because I'll be back again Tuesday with the Indie Experience podcast where we will be joined by a guest, rapper Admiral. He's an independent rapper out of New York City. You can go to hear his check out his music, go to admiral11.com. To check out his music, you can go to admiral11.com. Yep. That's who the guest will be for Tuesday. If if the guest can't make it, then the show will be on classical music. If the guest can't make it, then the show will be on classical music. Yep. So if you are a lover of classical music, you can tune in on Tuesday to hear some classical music created by me. And we learn about the origins of classical music So I will see y'all on Tuesday, and then again next Sunday. We be talking about on Speaking Freely, Love Triangle, and I will be dropping, like I said, on my Facebook page, Instagram, where you would see what the "What Would You Do" segment scenario will be. And if you see it posted, you can answer the scenario. You can join us on the show and give your answer to the scenario. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in. I'll see you Tuesday. Peace.
I love speaking freely so the masses can hear what I have to say about different topics that plague my mind every day. Speaking freely with Mansky Go is a sure word.